Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 26, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are literally the same philosophies that I guide just about every decision I make by. With this in mind, today we are going to be looking at the finances, how it affects society, and much more importantly, a little known trick that I learned that the banks certainly aren't going to tell you about. How you can earn money using your credit card. I am not talking about turning around and getting an extra loan on it. I am talking about simply knowing how the thing works. Okay, but before I get into that, I do want to say, eternity eternal, you are in with the gold. Okay, and we have Nathan, you are in with the silver. So I do trust things are going well. Today we've got a few odd things going on. And of course, Joe Stewart, you are in with the bronze. Well done. I know things are really kind of on the hectic side. Nathan, yesterday's show was absolutely great. Unfortunately, eyesight goes when the tired goes. So that unfortunately is where that hiccup came in. Now, everybody talks about about going into debt. You know, credit cards are great if you know how to use them. They're dangerous if you don't. And yet, the credit card companies nor the banks will tell you how you can actually earn money. Not a lot. Okay, understand that. It will not earn a lot of money. But I don't know about you, but if you can earn $5 on your credit card instead of paying, 20 or $25, would that not be worth a little bit of effort? Oh no, Nathan, it was literally a question of I actually wanted to be on the show. I've been doing my best to get my sleeping down to a normal pattern. That's where it gets to be a little screwy. And I forgot to mention this. LA, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I cannot believe we are already at the end of May. We are looking at about 10 weeks-ish. And I head for El Paso there. No, not for El Paso. Well, technically heading for El Paso. Okay, but heading for your end anyway. The nice part about it. Now, let's get straight down to the track of it, because here's the thing. Due to circumstances above and beyond my control, in a manner of speaking, we are going to, because of obligations, we're going to be shutting the stream down today at 6 o'clock PST in order to free up time to get a few things done that kind of have to get dealt with. Yeah, well, that's true. And besides that, we got to get you to pick us up there. The reality is, LA, I was talking to Kira, and she's really looking forward to coming down. So it ought to be an interesting run at best. Or an interesting run at worst. But take a look at your credit card. Now, this applies no matter what credit card you have, no matter what. Now, that I should correct that. If you've got a Visa debit card, it won't work. Okay. If you've got a credit card from any bank, any credit union, any company, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, some of the credit cards out there have a cashback function. What I'm going to explain is in addition to the cashback, in addition to the issue of whether or not you're getting points. This is an extra chunk of money. Now, the only stipulation, and it applies, like I said, to every single credit card available. Okay, it doesn't matter what your interest rate is. The only stipulation is for it to work, you have to take a look and make sure your credit card is below the credit limit. As long as it's below the credit limit, this method works. And again, don't take my word for it. I'm going to talk in generalities because the interest rate you pay on any credit card varies drastically. I've seen people with credit card interest rates as low as 2% and as high as 35%. Okay, which is insane. But no matter how high your interest rate, and in all fairness, it's kind of funny because it's got nothing to do with it. But what you do, if your credit card is below limit, and this means when you buy something, it doesn't push it over limit. If you've got $1,000 credit card limit, for instance, and let's say you brought it up to you've run it up to $950 that you've borrowed on it. So your balance is $950. You can turn around and spend up to $50 as long as you don't go over that $950, over that $1,000 limit. You can spend up to it. When that happens, now most credit cards, and you'll have to check your own credit card. Most of them have something like a 21-day leeway, meaning you take your money, you go to the bank. Let's say you're buying groceries. Now, you've got $100 in the bank that you can spend on groceries. Go to the grocery store, take your grocery bill with you. Okay. And make sure that you keep under that $100 limit. You go down, get your groceries together. Do not exceed the cash that you've got available. But you're not going to use your cash. You're going to use the credit card to pay for the groceries. So you put the $40 on. Now, here's the thing. You've got 3 weeks to pay the credit card. You've got the 40 in the bank. Okay, well, let's do it in easy terms because $100 being used mathematically is quicker to sort out. So let's say you've got $100 clear. You buy $100 worth of groceries on your credit card. The $100 is still in the bank. Now, what do you think you do when you get home with that credit card bill? Because you don't want to run it up. Okay, any idea how to actually put that to use? Okay, and no, I'm not going to leave you sit with that. So here's the way this goes. You've got 3 weeks. Now, this is an exorbitant price for most checking accounts. But let's just simply say you're making 2% per month on your bank account. Okay. And I'm just using that for mathematical purposes. You put the $100 down. Okay, you're getting paid. Donna, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully things are going well for you. Now you go in, you've got the $100 bill ready to go. It's in your bank. Use a credit card to pay the $100, to pay for the grocery bill. You're leaving the $100 in your bank sit. Now, you've got 3 weeks leeway. And again, check the leeway on your own credit card. Let's say you've got 3 weeks to pay it. 2 weeks down the road, go to your bank, take the $100 out of your bank, and pay the credit card. Okay, Now, here's the thing. You've taken $100 in credit on your credit card. Okay. If you don't pay it, you could be paying 19% on top of it. But if you pay it inside the 3 weeks, you're not paying a nickel. Okay. So at the 2-week mark, go to the bank, pay the $100 on the credit card. Now, what has happened is you borrowed $100 from the credit card. Okay. From the credit card company. You borrowed it, you invested it, and are getting 2% investment on their $100. Now, granted, this means that you're literally looking at only on $100, $2. But we are talking $2 is $2 is $2. Okay, you didn't pay a nickel in interest, but you made $2. Now, guess what you do with that $2 you made? Okay, now that you've made the $2, pull it out of your bank account, put it into permanent savings. You've now earned $2 on $100. And like I said, it wasn't much money. But bear with me on that. You've earned $2 on the 100 that you borrowed, paid off the principal, and you've still got the 200, which now gets moved into your savings. Okay, now that's if you've done that with $100. Okay, at 2%, that's $100. If you're doing, and did I bring it down? No, so I have to do it the hard way. So let us just take a look at something here. Yeah, that's an idea. Get the gland, get the eyes that don't work. Of course, I can't find what I'm looking for, which only makes sense. There we are. Okay, now that's if you're and $2. Yeah, that's 2%. Here's the thing: at $100, you've made $2. If you do the same thing with $1,000, okay, and you're making 2%, and again, it works as you build up your money. Okay, at $1,000, you're getting $20 interest that you're earning on the credit card's dollar. You're not investing a single plug nickel of your own. Nope, did that wrong. And again, we just run the number up a little higher. So if you do that with $1,000, you're getting $20. 10,000, you're getting 200. This is what I mean by it's little. It's not a lot of money. But let me ask you this: if you borrow, or let me point this out for you, if you take that $100 and you spend it, and you don't pay it within the 3 weeks, you're not paying back 100 at 19% interest. You're paying back, you're paying back 119. And you're absolutely right, LA. It's more than you get in a savings account. I don't even know what the interest is in my savings account, but it does remind me I should go and check. But this is what I mean. If you've got the credit card, and in today's world, you kind of have to have one. But why not start using it to generate an income instead of to cost you interest? This is what I meant by the banks won't tell you. It's wonderful from that standpoint in my eyes. So now what we're going to do is take a look at it, and we're going to find other ways to use other people. Robert White goes, unless it's in Australian, difference of the country dollar values. Hi, Robert. How you doing? You are right, but this is why, and I'm guessing, but when people in Australia get a credit card, do they not get one in Australian dollars? If that is the case, if they do get one in local currency, then the same method applies. Because the moment you start taking dollar value differences, all of a sudden you're looking at a disaster. But I don't know. I know like when I get a credit card in Canada, I don't get one that deals in British pounds. I might be able to get one that deals in US dollars. I just haven't looked into it. The thing is, this is just another one of those issues. Philip, how we doing? Philip, I've come across all kinds of that, and I will tell you this, I don't buy into them. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to go into it right now. But I will tell you this. Okay. The number of people that tell me that, if that worked as well as they say, we wouldn't have the mess we've got right now. Just a thought. Okay. I have dealt with, I've come across all kinds of clips stating, oh, give us X number of dollars and we will help you make X number of dollars, X more. I don't trust people well enough to even gamble on something like that, but that's personal. Okay, this method I have used myself and continue to use, and it's not teaching you anything except literally pay the bill before it becomes due and take the savings that you just earned, move it into a proper savings account that doesn't cost you service charges, and all of a sudden you're making money. That's just one of these neat little things. There are always loopholes. There are always ways that somebody can find to screw things up. Absolutely. Okay. That said, the number of variables, like I know I can talk to you all kinds of things about how to gauge whether an investment is good. Okay. I've done a lot of the looking into that. But then I went to school. I majored in business and English. And as you can tell, I can't speak worth a dang. But by taking your credit card to do your bill and to pay your bills, when you've got the money in the account earns interest. The credit card, you're using their money while yours earns interest. Then a week before the bill comes due, pay the bill off. You've still made a little bit of money. Now we are talking about literally nickel and diming your growth to put it together. But here's the neat thing. The neat part about it is this. When you, like my father said, when you take care of the pennies, you deal with a dollar coming in from here, another one from over here, it adds up. Okay. You know what, Philip? I don't doubt it. And then if I weren't on the stream, I might look into it, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it. Way too many complications. The nice part about it, and in a nutshell, a lot of people have tried to convince me of a lot of things. Thus far, very few have succeeded. Although there have been cases where that has been done. This ain't one of them. The neat part about it. Yeah, no doubt. I was actually looking at LA Just Goes. It's like picking cherries. It takes time and attention, but when you're done, you'll have a pie. I actually was watching a short. Valerie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I was watching a short today. I forgot to pick up the cake mix. I might have one. I was watching a short either today or last night on how to make pineapple upside down cake in a slow cooker. Okay, which for me is just a great idea. But where it comes to making money, to making money work. Okay, I've got a number of books I'm working on regarding that, not because, oh, look, you can become a millionaire overnight by investing in this. You can make 30, 40% on your return. Not interested. Well, interested if it were in fact legitimate. Here's the kicker. A credit card company will make, when they issue a credit card, they give you, more to the point, a bank will give you 8% on their mutual funds. What they won't tell you, up to 8%, what they won't tell you is they're making upwards of 20. So the 8% really isn't that much. But what I'm referring to is using your money, not somebody else. Well, yeah, you lose. Yeah. If you don't, you end up splitting teeth. Unless, of course, you swallow the piece of the pie whole without chewing. But, that's just one of those neat little things that you work with. Now, hopefully that makes sense. But like I said, it applies as near as I've figured out. As near as I've been able to piece together. Any credit card, whether it's bank issued, credit card company issued, credit union company issued, if it is done, if you get it in local currency and you've got the money in the bank and room on the credit card, and again, write it down. I don't expect anybody, myself included, to remember this sort of thing long term. But if you do that, you got $100, and yes, I'm going to repeat myself. You've got $100 clear on your credit card. You've got $100 cash in the bank. Okay. When you turn around and when you go to the grocery store, stick to the $100 limit. You stick to the $100. Use the credit card, borrow the $100 from the credit card to get, to actually earn. Correction. You spend the $100 to buy the groceries. Leave the $100 in the bank. Okay. A week before the bill is due, pull the $100 out of the bank, put it on the credit card, and pay the credit card off. Now, I can work out the money you're actually dealing with. In all likelihood. And Donna, you are right. Now Donna's going, I don't like credit cards. They charge you, they charge you even if you don't use them. I have a debit card too. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. You are okay. Let's go back on that. First and foremost, Donna, I'm like looking at credit cards. Like I've got a couple. If your credit card is paid off, they won't charge you. Okay, unless you've got a credit card company, a credit card that charges you an annual fee. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Valerie, that's Valerie goes, my credit card's filed for a restraining order. There are a couple of things we can do to get your credit card under control. Okay, so it won't keep filing restraining orders. But the reason for and don't get me wrong, I'm not telling people, slow down, think. I'm not telling you if you don't like credit cards, go and get one. I'm telling you if you've already got a credit card, then you can put it to use. Now, the reality is there are a lot of variables on credit cards, but I have never personally seen a credit card where they charge you a thing. Well, what is this? Yeah, I have never seen a credit card that actually charges you if you don't use it. If your credit card is at zero balance, there won't be a bill. Okay. If it isn't at zero balance, then quite honestly, that's still something that has to be dealt with. Okay. But by utilizing the credit card in that fashion, yes, the bill still has to be paid. LA has just suggested it may be helpful to remind people to pay the credit card and the payment too. Absolutely. There's a lot of things I could say. My assumption, and it may be a bad one, is most people are fully aware if they've got a credit card, they've got to pay the bill. Okay. And again, this is done in conjunction with the rest of it. Donna's just saying, Macy charged me. My bill was zero. Now, my first instinct on that, okay, is I would turn around, hand them back the credit card, and tell them they can they can charge somebody else. Right. But the thing I've got that I wonder is, did they charge you from the balance zero, or did they did they bring the charge up because of a past balance that was held longer than the due date? These are the variables that I don't have in front of me for obvious reasons. But the moment a credit card company, if your bill is zero and there's no charges on it from before, then if they're charging you money, you hand them back the credit card. Good move. That, in all fairness, that is the only credit card company I've ever heard of that has actually done that. And, from my standpoint, really stupid business practice on their part. But when you usually utilize with most credit cards, like I've got a Canadian Tire credit card and a PC credit card. Yeah, and this is just it. This is just it, Joe. Like I said, I'm not saying credit cards are the be-all and end-all. Not by any functional stretch. All I'm saying is, if you've got one, if you've got a credit card, this is just one of those tools. Okay. Way too many people get handed a credit card and never taught how it works. Okay. Yeah, no doubt. See, I'm lucky there, Donna. I don't have to worry about requiring money for chocolate chunkies. I don't like chocolate. I got off easy on that one. But that is just one of the neat little tools that I work with. Okay. The other one, there's a lot of tools that can be worked with. One of the big things we have to understand is when you're dealing with any purchases, okay, whether we're dealing credit card, and I'll come back to it again in a little bit, just to make sure, just to go over it again. Okay, there's a lot of ways that you can work with things and make extra money using your own money. Okay, one of the things I look at is you take a look at a credit card. Now, here's the kicker. With somebody, and I forget who, okay, oh, that's where I got it. Joe had mentioned an EBT card, both food stamps and cash. Now, here's the thing. There are some credit cards that have a cash back option. Now, here's the neat little kicker with that. If they're giving you a cash back option, and it depends on how they do it because there's a lot of variables involved. If that cash back, like for instance, I know Costco does this. If you've got a cash back, they send you a check for X number of dollars. Now, it's cash back. Now, when you get that check, in a case like that, take that check, put it in its entirety into your savings account. But remember, make sure it is a no payment savings account. Like my savings account that I've got, okay, I pay nothing for it. I've got a limit on how many withdrawals I can make, but I don't pay anything for the savings account itself. So it's a question of learning to handle it correctly. Now, let's do the other thing here. How do you stop from spending your money on it? Let's say you've reached a limit and your credit cards are out of control and you're having trouble because of whatever reason. You're turning around and still utilizing them, still spending them. Okay, I dropped something. So they dropped. Let's say you've got credit cards and you find you don't have the control over them that you require. And all you're aiming at is to wipe out the debt load. Okay. One of the best tricks I ever heard anybody pull. They had too many credit cards. And I will tell you, if you can control them, and this is one of those things that I do explain to people, I will quite happily sit down with anyone and lay it out. I'm going to be writing it out as best I can. But one person I was talking to had too many credit cards. Okay. And what they did was they took all of the credit cards, wrapped them, put them individually into a Ziploc bag. Okay. Sealed it. Okay. What they did was put it into a Ziploc bag, sealed it up with as little air as possible, put them into a bucket of water. Okay. Then they laid them flat in the bucket of water. Then they turned around, filled that bucket of water up with the credit cards in it. You may have to put something heavy on them inside the bucket just to set on top of the credit cards to keep them down. Then what she did was she took that bucket of water with the credit cards laid flat in individual Ziploc bags. And she put it in the freezer. Okay. Now, it doesn't stop you from being able to pay the bill, but it certainly punches a hole in trying to spend the money. Okay. It works like an absolute charm because the moment she wanted to go, oh, I'd really like to buy this on credit, it would take her 2 days to get the credit card back. Kills impulse buying. Now the neat part about it is if you go to a bank advisor, to a financial advisor in a bank, the first thing you got to remember is, that came out well, the first thing you have to remember is banks are there for them to make money, not for you. Okay, now I'm not even going to try and get into explaining compound interest and simple interest. No, I used to know how to do it, not anymore. But credit cards are one of these things that work like an absolute charm. the other thing that works, and all we're looking at doing is using your money so that you can generate more company and more finance, not so the bank can. This is why the bank won't tell you how to do it. So when you look at it and you go, okay, I'm going now get this funny little thing here. Always check your sizes. I went into a dollar store, and for the little bottle, okay, for just a little bottle, it was $1.50. Okay, above it, 2 shelves above was this size, at also $1.50. Now, the reality is, sometimes buying a larger case is not wise because you end up dumping it out. Tell you, this, okay, I can pay the same price for this as I do a smaller one. And here's the thing. I'm going to drink this anyway. If I don't drink it right now, I'll put it in the fridge and drink it later. I also use that, oddly enough, complete sidetrack on you guys. I use Coke as a toilet bowl cleaner, which might give you an idea of how useful it is in your stomach. But what we're looking at is how to make your money make money. And here's the kicker to it. When you've got more money, you can spend more money in the community. And this is why I say, when you get the opportunity, if you can take your money and buy local, guarantees almost that local money will stay in the area. Net result, boosting your local economy. I have talked to a lot of business owners. I've talked to manufacturers. They go, we get our manufacturing done overseas. That's great. It's cheap. It makes them money. Not as much as if they'd have it at home. And hear me out as to why. Okay. When you buy local, the money stays in the area. You also get a better return on the finances because the local people will find out that you're buying local and working local, and most of them will still come to you. Yes, the dollar value matters, and this is why I say put the credit card to use if you have one. If you don't like credit cards, if you don't trust credit cards, don't use them. Okay, it's kind of like, from my standpoint, boils down to this. If you get into a car, law says put a seatbelt on. If you don't like a seatbelt, if you don't desire to use a seatbelt, don't get in the car. Same applies with credit card. If you don't like working with them, don't. Steve, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The nice part about it is when you're working with the finances you've got, you can see the changes happen. And this is why I gave you all that information yesterday. You can just see what I've got here. That was one thing I was working on. I'm just looking for that funny little piece of information I had. All kinds of neat stuff I've been working on. But when it comes to handling your finances, handling credit cards specifically, hopefully what I just laid out makes sense. If not, I'm going to go through it one more time here anyway. Okay, but it boils down to this, and it applies to every credit card that I know of, except apparently one. Number one, the qualifiers that you look at with your credit card. Make sure you don't have an annual fee. If you do, get a different credit card to work with. Pick a credit card that doesn't have an annual fee. Okay, Storm, how you doing? Take one that doesn't have an annual fee. It's got to be a credit card that you've got room on. Preferably one that is completely paid off. And we will get to that in a bit. Okay. Now, again, I am no financial advisor. I am a school, I graduated. I'm still going through the school of hard knocks. So when I'm talking about what you can do, understand these are tools I personally use. This is why I tell you I'll use them. Find a credit card that has no annual fee. Okay. If it's got an annual fee, it's a money grab. Don't get it, is my personal opinion on it. Get one with zero annual fee. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is, in all fairness, because if you pay it off a week before it is due, there is no interest that you have to pay, which means you're using their money to get your stuff. And while you're using their money to get your stuff, your money is earning interest in a bank. But you got to make sure, again, find a savings account that does not have a service charge. Service fees, absolutely, because those, there's no problem there. Again, it's like interest rate. If you don't use the service, they don't charge you. If all you're doing is putting the money in the bank, if that's all you're doing, then absolutely what you're going to end up with is an increase in finances. So you find a credit card that's got no annual fee. That's first and foremost. Then you turn around, you make sure the credit card is not overloaded. Make sure it is not full. As long as it's not full, this will work. But as LA put it, make sure you're still paying any bills that you've already got. Make sure you're still paying them. Because the interest rate is what's going to kill you. Now, here's the funny thing. I have been told by multiple credit card companies, multiple financiers, that have said, get a credit card, do not spend more than 30%. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but if you're spending 30%, if you're utilizing 30% of the available credit, the odds are you're not going to get paid off. So, what I'm getting told, and you will see this happen as I get my credit, I've got 2 credit cards. Okay, as I get them paid off, I will be cutting down and doing literally this. I'm bringing them, before I use them again, I'm bringing them under the 10% mark. You never spend more than 10% of your available credit, ever. Okay, not 30. You cut it back, you don't spend more than 10. Meaning, if you've got a credit limit of $1,000, do not buy something for more than $100. And once it comes in, pay it off. Okay. In this way, the credit rate, interest rate that they've got won't kill you. Okay. Kind of an important factor. So we will get your credit. If you follow these tools, you can bring your credit card balance to 0. Now, on just what little I've got coming in, I know in less than 3 years, I will be absolutely debt free. I'm not giving up on enjoying my life. Guys, frankly, I'm bored with that. And I'm pretty certain most of you are bored with having to struggle time in and time out. Now, here's the kicker. Whatever country you're in, it still applies. If you're getting food stamps, if you're on social services, okay, if you're on some sort of medical disability, doesn't matter. I will tell you this. Every one of you that is on that, what's happening is you're relying on somebody else. Using the tools that I'm referring to, it will take time. But if you do this, there is no doubt in my heart using your money you will be able to become debt-free with enough income for you to support yourself. Now, do not get me wrong. If you're on food, if you're getting food stamps, okay, frankly, with the amount of money the governments are charging in taxes and what have you, they should be paying your food bill. Okay, of course, that's just my personal opinion. But, using the tools I'm starting to lay out, I'm handing you now, if you put them to use, okay, don't make the mistake of just looking at them going, oh, no, that won't work, so I'm not doing it. Okay. The number of people that have come to me and said, here's the way you put this little bit of effort in, you've got millions coming in. I look at that and go, this is fantastic. I talked to a financial advisor one day, and he was touting the value of a RSP. And I looked at him and I let him do his little spiel, and I said, okay, let me ask you this. You're promoting these RSPs. I said, have you got one? And he looked at me, he looks at me. I said, look, I know you've got to push the RSPs. I just want to know if you personally have one. So he goes and closes the office door, looks at and leans close to me and goes, I wouldn't touch them. Now, that's his personal opinion. I've heard a lot of people that utilize them. I had one. It did nothing but lost money. Okay, and I'm not kidding about that. So I personally won't touch them at all. But what I'm talking about with the credit card, that I am going to be using. I just have to get getting it below limit right now. But I'll be able to do that this week. Then I'm free and clear to start working. Okay, to start working on bringing it down. Same applies to you. Now, the other thing that we got to look at here is you've got, let's say you're just below limit. Now, you got to get that credit card paid off. When you buy something using the above method, okay, let's say you've got $100 available, so you spend $80. No problem. You take a week before the bill is due. Okay, you take that $80 that you spend, add 20 more to it, and pay the whole thing on the credit card. You'll start bringing the credit card and the credit limit and the credit balance down. Now, the weird part about this is we can look at a lot of different things. And again, I simply work with logic. I am not trained as a financial advisor. But I will tell you that what I'm sitting on right now, the money that I've laid out, I wonder what I did with it. I've actually got to get this. I'll get all this done tonight, which I will be. What is that? All kinds of paper I've been working with. But then I'm a dinosaur. If you do this, okay, if you've never given a shot, again, for pity's sake, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. But think about it. If a credit card is charging you 19%, if you don't pay it within that 3 weeks, pay it before the 3 weeks. You won't pay the 19%. It's simple math. Okay. If your bank pays you, even if they only pay you 0.25% per month, okay, or whatever, if they pay you anything utilizing the credit card's money, if you're paying the bill, okay, in its entirety, then you're not paying interest. You're using their money for you to generate an income. Now, I personally am of the firm belief that works out well. Of course, I'm a little punchy on that idea. Now, I've talked to financial advisors. I've talked to these people that have said, oh, well, if you go crypto, what is it? Crypto farming. Okay. You can make millions. You know what? I seldom hear of people that make millions. You get these few actors, I'm telling you, they're likely getting paid. But the thing is this. I'm not talking about get quick rich. I'm talking about take your finances, make them work. Okay. Now, I was going, and this is just a change I made. Okay. I was going to a restaurant, and I would pay $20 for a plate of food. Okay. I went out today and bought a roast chicken for 11. Okay. Now I've got 11 there. Now where is my, I didn't bring it with me. Okay. So we do it this way. Instead of paying $20 for a restaurant meal, okay, I bought a pre-roasted chicken, okay, for $12. So instead of paying that, I spent $12 there. I spent another $3 on a can of food. Okay, so now I've got 15 that I spent for that. But here's the kicker to it. Okay, I did that. Plus, we take the dog and celery that we bought. I've spent bucks. I'm going to get 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get 4, which means instead of spending $20 on a restaurant meal, okay, I spend 4 and get as much nutritional value out of it without spending hours in the kitchen. I'm lazy and a lousy cook. But the credit card thing, the reason I mention it is because with it, you've already got the tool in your hand. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, the neat thing is, you can do that whether you're talking about buying groceries, buying furniture, buying gas. It doesn't matter. Okay, it literally boils down to use the credit card for the purchases. Leave the money in the bank until a week before it's due. Then pay it off. The reason for the week is if you're paying through the bank, you may be 3 or 4 days for it to get in. Therefore, you pay it a week ahead of time, and you've got it in. You don't have any interest to pay. You're earning interest on their money. Does this by any chance make sense? And again, it doesn't matter what you're buying. You can do it this way, and it all works the same way, regardless of what company, whether it's credit card, whether it's a store credit card, whether it's a store discount card, doesn't matter. If you're using the discount card or the credit card, okay, not a debit card, even if it's debit Visa, doesn't work. It's got to be a credit card. Okay, but when you do that, you can use their money to generate low income, very low return. But low return is better than a decline. Okay, very critical factor from that end. And this is why, when you look at that, I take a look at it. Now I've got, and again, this is just a couple of things that we're looking at, and where are we here? Because I have a sneaking suspicion this is one of those things that so many people overlook. Okay. Did you realize that you can actually, utilizing your money, okay, you can get real solid returns with absolutely, and I'm no financial advisor, with absolutely rock solid security. Now, in Canada, we call it a guaranteed income certificate. In the States, I'm not sure what they call it, but it's government backed. It's a very low percentage return. But again, you're looking at small numbers. Do not target the people that say, oh, you can make millions doing this. Sure you can. And I was told the same thing. But here's the kicker. When I first started this stream, for instance, I was told you can monetize it. Okay. 2 years ago, I started it. Great dream, great hopes for what it could do. Great dreams on what the potential was. Somebody forgot to mention something here. Because here I am 2 years later, and I'm nowhere near monetizing. And I don't care anymore. I really don't. I will keep doing this stream. Part of it had dawned on me. My talking about it helped me get it straight in my own head. So maybe I'm just self-serving. You get to figure that one out. But the reality is, if these tools work for me, if they've worked for thousands of other people, why can't they work for you? Okay, just one of those things we look at. So you take your credit card. If you are willing to use them, if you like credit cards, this is just a bonus. If you don't like credit cards, it doesn't matter how big of a bonus it is. It ain't going to help you. Okay? It's the same as everything else. Literally. If you like chocolate, a chocolate fondue is going to be absolutely phenomenal. If you don't like chocolate like me, chocolate fondue is not going to make me all that happy. Okay. It boils down to working with what you like, what you can do. Okay. Now, there are a lot of things you can do, but the biggest thing you got to remember is you're the one doing the work. It did not get you in the state you're in. You did not get in the state you're in overnight. And by the way, yes, on what I'm talking about here, I'm literally going to be putting this method in the social media, in the newsletter, and I will bring it back up later. Where are we here? Just making a note for myself to make certain I write it. See, when we talk about credit cards, when we talk about credit, we are talking about going into debt. Has anybody out there ever heard somebody actually tell you that there is a way for you to earn money with a credit card? Have you ever even heard hint of the concept? Okay, it's just a curiosity thing on my part. So what I'm looking at is this. I know it works because I do it. Or more to the point, I did it. In sometime in the next 2 or 3 days here, I will bring one credit card under limit and put it to use. Okay, in exactly the fashion I'm talking about. And when I find out what I did with it, I've got a list of what I owe around here somewhere. What's that? That one I don't need. Oh, I know what I did with that. Oh, there we are. Right here. Okay. No, that was the short answer. I don't know what I did with it. I'm just not going to look for it right now. But suffice it to say, if a big company can make money, so can you. Okay. You just have to learn the tools or forget you don't know them. And that's why I say, if you follow this method, if your credit card has no annual fee and has room on it, okay, you've got that. Now, that is required of the credit card. With that, get a no fee savings account. Okay, they exist. They're just hard to find. Okay, get a no fee savings account. Don't worry if there are transaction fees if you use it. You're using it to put money into, not to pull money out of. Okay. By doing that, you take your credit card and you've got the money in your active bank account. You've got the $100 there. Take the credit card, use it for the $100. Okay. You use the credit card, so you're using their money. Yours is sitting in the bank earning money. Okay. Now, a week before your credit card is due, take the money out of the bank, pay the credit card off. Pay that debt off. If you spend, let's say you've got $500 in outstanding balance, and you starting this method today, and you spend $20 on the credit card. In 2 weeks, put the $20 on the credit card. Pay that specific bill. As LA said, if you're behind the 8 ball, pay off more than what you're spending. It's mathematics. You pay more than you're spending, your credit card balance will die. Okay, so that's the one thing that we got to look at. Hopefully this is making sense. If not, absolutely ask. Okay, I am curious. What happens if I go? That was my bad. My apologies. Do not refresh live stream. This is a bad idea. But you've got the credit, you've got the money in your bank, you've got the money available on your credit card. Use the credit card company's money to buy the $20 bill, the $20 item. A week before the bill is due, put that $20, on the credit card. Okay. If you've got a payment due as well, make certain that gets paid. Yeah, this is one of the neat little things. I tried getting into a credit union here. I'm going to go down and see if I can get one as well. But I figured out how to work around them. Yeah. And again, there's a lot of variables out there, LA. Credit unions have the advantage over banks, in my opinion, in as much as the money goes into the local area. And this is something I will be looking at myself. But I'll tell you, when I went in and tried it a while back, probably the teller. Okay, I asked her about opening a bank account, and she looks at me and she goes, "Absolutely, we can do it. You just close all your other bank accounts." I looked at her and I went, "You've got to be kidding me." And she goes, "No, that's how we do it." I looked at her and said, "Won't happen." I've been with the same bank for 40 years. Only now I'm starting to do what I should have done 40 years ago. And this is why I'm saying, when you're dealing with a credit card, that is how the credit card can earn you money. That's not the best way in the world. It is simply a credit card method. That's it. Now, when you start looking at some of the other banking things, and this is something, again, I am no financial advisor, but we're going to take a look at that as well. Yeah, I kind of figured it was kind of retarded, but what the heck? Well, she didn't say I had to close them before I opened it. She wanted me to transfer all of my banking to their bank. I looked at her and said, it's not going to happen. Yes, I like the idea that they invest in the local area. And I am going to be going down that road because I know how it works now. But understand something. I spent 55 years making absolutely stupid moves. Honestly, they were ignorant moves. I didn't know better. Okay, but it is time to start looking at the practical side of finance, as well as the practical side of energy, of healing. There are things that are being overlooked that you're not being taught. In all honesty, you probably aren't being taught them because the people that are teaching you never got taught them either. This has been going on for millennia, ever since banks got invented. Okay, ever since debt got invented. Now, the neat part about it is when credit cards came out, everybody all of a sudden went, hey, I've got free money. It's not free. Okay, so a couple of other areas we're going to hit down the road. And these are things I'm going to be hitting in the newsletter anyway. And by the way, if you desire a copy of the free newsletter, and it is free, you go to the top of the chat room and you enter into it, buy me a coffee /inner voice J. It will lead you to a webpage that tells you all the books I've got available for sale, as well as consulting fees and access to the free newsletter. Now, Positive Perceptions here, this live stream, and Positive Perspectives, the free newsletter, are the only way I do anything to speak of for free. Yes, I do charge for what I do. It comes naturally to me. Here's the thing. If I'm not making an income, I got to get another job to go and make an income to keep a roof over my head. Now, granted, right now, I've got a contract. I've got disability coming in. No problem there. With those two things, I'm in good shape. And I will continue to get in better shape. But I will be danged if I'm going to sit here and go, okay, I've got this money coming in. Now I don't have to do a thing. This is why I'm starting to move forward. Okay. And I'm hoping that you guys will learn by the mistakes and the miscalculations I made and not repeat the same process. Okay. Like you. Okay. I was resistant to change. I did not like the way things were, that I was being told you should do things differently. Thing is, I went to professional financial advisors and literally got guided down the garden path. They made their money. I lost. I'm not asking you to give me your money so that I can make money off it. I'm telling you how to do it yourself. The neat part about it is literally what I'm doing will work for you. You don't have to believe me. If you don't have a credit card, if you don't desire a credit card, if you don't trust a credit card, don't use a credit card. Okay? It's that simple. But if you are open to using it and you already have one, absolutely this is how you do it. But it takes discipline. It is way too easy to just all of a sudden go, oh, here's free money. I've got X number of dollars in credit. You can dig a crater. Okay, and I know this because I've done it. You can dig an absolute crater, but you don't climb out of a pit by hopping. You do it one step at a time. If you're $100 in the bin, okay, and you're climbing it $1 every day, you're still going to take 100 days to get up, to get out of debt. But there are ways to accelerate that. And the question you have to ask is, are you content with where your money is right now? I've seen some people say in the chat room here that, hey, by the way, I've got a good setup. I like the card I've got. I like the method I'm working with. If you're content with it, it is not for me to tell you to change it. If you are not content with it, it is up to me or up to other people to say, here's a method that works for me. Give it a shot. If you haven't given it a shot before, don't make the mistake of going, it won't work. Okay, because I'm telling you, practical experience says otherwise. But it's up to you to do the work. Now, where are we sitting here? We are, like I said, we are going to be ending things early tonight. Okay. Again, I'm going to go through, I've got a lot of things I'll be doing tonight. But in a nutshell, and yes, I know I've spent the last hour and a half repeating myself. I don't know about you, but I find, and this is why I do it, I'm literally repeating it to me as well, to make sure I get it straight. Okay, I know what I'm sitting on. Of course, the sheet of paper went somewhere on the bed, I think, or it might be over there. That'll be my first job, is find out what I did with it. But with that in mind, kind of an important factor, you're going to have to control what you're doing. I can give you all kinds of tools to make it easier to control it, to give you the handle on controlling what you're spending. So you, using your money, can get debt-free, have a surplus in the bank, and have the life you desire to live. I'm not going to do the work for you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, you can sit back and do nothing and your bank account will grow. Newsflash, you want your bank account to grow. It's like a garden. You attend to it, you fertilize it, you give it the care it requires, and your money will amplify. It will multiply. Okay? If you do nothing, if you change nothing, your finances will stay on the path they're on. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I know I'm not happy with where mine are. This is why I worked out the other day on my income, giving no change to the income. In 3 years, I will be debt free. Okay, I will do everything I can to accelerate that. Okay, that's just a critical issue from my standpoint, which is why I'm looking at the idea and going, how do I do this and how do I do it now? Okay, now does not mean I'll be out of debt overnight. What it means is I'm starting the process now. I'm not dropping any further. I know where I'm standing, therefore I'm dealing with it. I'm inviting you to come along with me because they tell me it's lonely at the top. I don't intend on being lonely up there. Okay, but the question you've got to ask is, are you willing to do the work, to utilize methods you may not have used before? Okay, absolutely. If you don't fully understand them, ask me to explain it again. Absolutely do. Okay, because what we're looking at here is you've been guided to go into debt, pay all, take forever and a day to pay the debt off because it's just borrowed money. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of borrowing money. I intend on having an empire where if somebody comes to me and says, look, I'm in trouble, I'll have the finances not to loan, but to help. Okay, it's that simple for me. So that is what I'm going to be doing. And I've already laid out, like I said, there are things I talk about doing. And the reason I come back and tell you is because you're going to see by example. Okay, now I started this process yesterday. No, I started this process on Friday. Okay, that's when I did my assessment. Now, let me just see here. If I go here. Okay, Friday was the 10th of May. Now, that means on the 10th, I started this on the 10th of May. So on the 10th of June, I'm going to come back here and go, okay, here's what the balances were. Here's what they are. This is not for me to say, hey, I'm better than you. It's not for me to say, hey, I'm having a sheep of a bad time. Hand me money. That is not the purpose. This is simply to say, here's where I was. here's where I am, and here's what I'm up to. Okay, that's where this comes into play. And that's where you've got to start looking at it, because it's your money that we're going to put to use to solve your problem. Okay, and like I said, credit cards, you're told, will cost you money. Now, here's the thing, and I'll get into this on another day. A student loan can be done the same way. Okay, but I got to check into a couple of things to understand the mechanics behind it. Suffice it to say, for the moment, if, as I surmise, a student loan does not have to be paid back, and like up here, last I heard, you take a student loan, as long as you're in school, you don't start paying it back until 6 months after you graduate. Ken, how you doing? Glad you could join us. At this point, Philip, nobody, not that I know of. I will be when it is deserved, when it actually works. In the meantime, what I'm handing out is methods where you can use your money to improve your bank account, or more to the point where you can use somebody else's money, i.e., in this case, a credit card. Now, my understanding is that with a student loan, you can take a loan out as long as you're in school, for 6 months after you're out of school. You don't have to pay the loan back. But if you've got an income, and I'll go into this in detail on a different day. As a matter of fact, this is Sunday. I can actually do it tomorrow. Okay. If my memory serves, I may not be able to do it tomorrow because I got to find out the information. But my understanding is if you don't have to pay it for 6 months, if you don't have to pay it for 6 months until 6 months after you graduate, you can take, if you've got the money to pay for the schooling, absolutely put that money in the bank, put it aside, lock it down, get a student loan. If the student loan doesn't have to be paid until 6 months after you graduate, take the student loan. Okay, leave your money sitting in there, locked into. I personally would recommend a GIC. Low return, but solid guaranteed. In all fairness, Philip, that's the stupid part. It used to be taught up here, and I swear I'd lay odds it used to be taught in the States. What I'm talking about right now is literally doing that. Bypassing the school. Okay. Bypassing the school system so that those that are not in school can figure it out. In Canada, GIC is called a guaranteed income certificate. It is something backed 100%, no risk, by the Canadian government. You may have something in the States by a different name. I just don't know what it is. Okay, I just know a GIC in Canada is backed 100% guaranteed with a low interest rate. I think I'm making 4.5% on mine. Okay, but because it's guaranteed with no possibility of dropping it, it doesn't pay a lot. But I find 4.5% increase is better than a 20% loss. Just my personal opinion on that. Okay, but if you've got the money to work with a student, if you've got the money to pay to go to school, get the student loan. Lock your money away in a higher return or a baseline return. Use the student loan to do all the stuff you have to, and then again, a week before you start paying interest on it, take all that money you put aside, go in, pay off the loan. Net result, net result, you've earned interest, maybe not much, but you've earned interest on their money, not on yours. Okay, their money, you used it while you're sat and earned interest. To me, this works like a charm. Will I be looking into it myself? I've already decided at some point I'm likely to go back to school. And that is exactly how I'll do it. If memory serves right, I've got to do the research first. The credit card, I know it works because I do it. Or more to the point, I've done it. And sometime this week, I will have the money to bring the one credit card under limit, and then I start making money with it. Right then. Okay. Again, I've laid out the numbers. Now, not quite certain what the formula is. Oh, okay. Time minus 10. Yes, absolutely, Philip. Now, the nice part about it is I'm going to walk through my own finances. Yeah, keep your finances secret. Don't tell anybody. I'm telling you, I'm not a financial advisor. I am doing this simply because of making enough stupid moves. I knew better and did it anyway. Now I know better and I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. If you follow this and absolutely sit and watch and make sure it works. Absolutely do your own research. Do your own mathematics. Absolutely. Okay. I can tell you, I'm not going to lie to you, but that's kind of like going, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. Ever hear that comment before? How much faith do you put in it? The reality is it's time for us to reclaim power over our own lives. It's no longer functional, hasn't been functional for a long time, for people to sit back and wait for somebody else to make it happen. And I'm telling you, the easy, no effort way does not work as well as you might think. Now, sure, you can sit on your backside. Are you happy with the way your life is? Have you been sitting on your tail feathers and waiting for it to get better? Chasing that dream. Oh, here's an easy way to make it happen. I was told I can invest this money and I can make money out of it. I'm telling you, the method they're talking about works great for them. Now, I may sound like a cynic to you, and perhaps I am. On the other hand, I intend on being a very wealthy cynic down the road, but not one that looks at the world and goes, I got more money than you, so I'm better. I am absolutely not better than anybody I know of. Now I get a kick of it, out of it. Philip, there is always differences. And, the reality is we are talking generalities. The last thing that I'm going to get into is trying to sort out all the different variables. Because I'll tell you, I can take almost any theory and turn it inside out with one question. Almost any theory. Okay. So this is a question of taking the tools, putting them to use. Understand there are better ways. There are smarter people than me. A lot smarter. Okay. But I will tell you, for all of you out there, there was a time when I would try and tell somebody something, and they would literally go, I don't want to do that. And I go, fine, don't. And I'll tell you the same thing. If you don't like the idea, don't put it to use. Okay, but I will tell you, trying to convince me that the method I've been using that has been working successfully won't work is kind of like telling somebody, don't breathe and you'll survive. It doesn't work very well. Okay, I'm way too stubborn for my own good on occasion, and certainly not diplomatically correct. I will tell you, Phil goes, it depends on which government. Frankly, it depends on which person in which part of the government. It's got nothing to do with the department. It depends on the individual. You have good cops, you have bad cops. You have good and really generous people living on the street. You've got absolute doorknobs living on the street. The list goes on. There are invariably exceptions. Okay, the one constant in the universe is change. And we have just gotten, thank you so much, Sir Storm. I know I repeated myself a lot this time. Probably will again. But with that in mind, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. And until we talk again, which by the way will be tomorrow, until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.